ever wonder why 90% of salespeople don't make it within 5 years? Meaning, real estate, insurance, it doesn't matter what you do. 5 years later, 90% don't make it. Only 1 out of 10 makes it. Why is that? By the way, I want to manage expectations with you. Most people who get into sales, they have no idea how hard it is. This thing is hard. So if you're not in the mood for somebody to scare you off from sales, skip this video. But if you want the truth, I'm going to give it to you today.
Welcome to the Mindset by Design podcast with your host and NLP expert, Andy Murphy, where you will learn the tips, tricks, and strategies he teaches his world-class clients to give you the skills to dominate any business.
What's going on, Mindset by Design crew, and welcome to episode 376. Hope you're amazing as always. Do you know what? It's a good day. It's a really good day. And I hope you're feeling that vibe too. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's funny when we're dealing with performance stuff. It's because we have a good day. We're feeling awesome about life, and then we wake up and we don't know what we've been dreaming about. We have no idea what loop is looping in our brain. And we wake up and we could be in the sympathetic, the parasympathetic nervous system. We could have a thought about the future. Something could trigger us. There's so many things. And what people just expect is to, well, everything's good, always, until it's not. Do you know what I mean? And that's when you need all the tools. That's when you need the discipline. The discipline to be able to wake up and no matter what, interrupt the pattern or the movie or the story that's going on in your head and then redirect it to how you want to think, feel, and act. Do you know what I mean? It's about being able to understand and look at your environment and be able to remove things that don't serve you anymore and add things in that trigger the correct response or the emotion that you want, right? It's being able to sit down at your desk, open your laptop, and being able to, within minutes, be able to drop into flow. Do you know what I mean? Or switch off the anxiety or get focused or clear on your objective for that next task. And the thing about all of this is it's all skills. It's all skills that are not taught by the normal person. The normal person doesn't know this. And it's only when you start looking into sports and hyper performance in that world that you can bring it over into the business world. And that's what I've been able to do, you know what I mean? Back in the day, worked with hundreds and hundreds of professional athletes, like fighters and world champions in different sports, like Ironman and things like that. And it's being able to take all of that peak performance knowledge and then move it over into being able to be the ultimate version of you, no matter what is going on in sales and business. You know what I mean? Sounds good, doesn't it? Yeah. And what I love to do is be able to take all the sales knowledge I have and the high-end NLP knowledge and behavioral psychology knowledge, right? And bring that into performance and then bring that into the business world. That is what excites me. And that's why it's a good day, right? Because every day it's about being in alignment with what you want to do. What the hell does that mean? It means you best be doing what you want. Because what you're saying yes to today is you're saying no to something else. And if you woke up this morning and what you're doing isn't thriving, isn't working for you anymore, you know, and you've known this for months and months and months, then is it time for a change in career? Is it a time and change in the project or the business that you're doing? Is it time for you to really look inside? And if it's none of that, and it's really just about you getting that inspiration, that fire back inside of you, getting that confidence, that belief, those images that are programmed in your brain, are they the ones that you want, or have they changed, right? This is where we start entering a different level of performance, a different level of results when we can get this. Does this make sense? I know I've just jumped into it, crew. I get it. But I felt inspiration today, right? I felt inspiration because I pulled up this clip of the one and only Patrick David Betts. And do you know, he's a badass, man. And the more I listen to this guy over the past few years, I love this dude, you know. And he just kind of gets it. He's bringing everyone. He's even brought a numerologist. Did you know this? He brought an I was going to say astrophysicist then, but he brought a numerologist onto the show. If you've not seen that episode of his, it's really good, and he breaks down so many different personality profiles, and it's all designed from numerology and your star signs. But guess what? He's a high level business dude. Do you know what I mean? And so we got to be open to everything, and that's what I love about Patrick. And what's crazy, in a couple of weeks, it really is. Yeah, we're on the 4th. We'll be the 4th of September in a few weeks, like 3 weeks. And it's going to be 20 years that I've been away from the UK. You know, I lived in Australia, New Zealand, California, South America, Latin America, Bali, all these different places, Florida. We get around, right? And the thing about that is, when I look back, it all began with sales. And sales is, I really believe, it's like a superpower. Do you know what I mean? As long as you are not a douchebag, as long as you're doing stuff for good and helping people, then sales is a beautiful thing. It's only when you're a shady character that you can do shady stuff. Do you know what I mean? That's a big difference, Scalpel, right, can kill or cure. Same thing, right? And when we start to understand that, and I look back on my career, it's like for the past 10 years or 15 years, I've really just thought of myself as a coach. And there was sprinklers of marketing, sprinkling of sales. But then I look back and go, no, it's all been sales. It's all been sales, From when I first started, and I was a top performer in 2 different countries in investment real estate, to building a project, a development company to build a $100 million resort over in Fiji, then going through bankruptcy, nervous breakdown, resetting and rebuilding in LA. And then that's where I rebuilt my performance career. But when I look back, it's all been sales. Whether I'm selling someone into a different belief system inside of a coaching program, or making them perform better in any level of business, or I'm actually closing them to come on to one of my programs. It's the same thing. It's sales, man, right? And when we can add all the subtle elements that take away the horribleness of sales, or the cheesiness of sales, or the manipulation of sales, then what we do is we come from a different emotion. We come from a different place. We come from a place that people trust because it's real. Do you know what I mean? It's real. We're here to help people. And that's what I love about Dave, and that's what today's episode's about. And the main thing, that's the main reason I've come back into helping salespeople. It really is. Because in this crazy time, in this crazy world right now, I know that sales is going to keep you safe, right? Doesn't matter what happens in the economy. Products get moved through sales. They do. What happens when products get moved? Well, the economy moves, right? So people can take charge of their own life just by understanding sales. Do you know what I mean? You can change your family's life today. You can start a new idea, and you're the one that goes out there and starts selling it, right? Marketing, sales, it's the same but different. I get it. But when we can understand that, oh man, it makes me so happy. It makes me so happy. And I'm so glad that the universe, or whatever you want to call it, my intuition, directed me down this path. Makes me so happy, man. It really, really does. And now it's time to give back. And that's why I created the Unfair Advantage Academy. You can go there right now, actually, and you can sign up, and you can get on our VIP list. We launch in a week. And just by doing that, just for free, before I even show you the training and what's behind inside the academy, it's badass. But it's only for people who are experienced in sales. we're not here to teach you sales. I'm not here to teach you it. It's not. There's so many people that teach sales, right? There's so many people. You can even learn it on YouTube and TikTok these days, right? But I'm not here to teach you sales. This is about taking experienced salespeople and real estate agents and closers and insurance salespeople and whoever it is, and coaches and entrepreneurs for sure, but showing them how to make this a long-lasting career, how to double their income inside of 12 months, how to be that 1% performer, how to be that cream at the top, how to not be on this roller coaster of emotion and then burn out. No, it's how to earn millions and millions of dollars and make this a long-lasting career. Does that sound good? Good. And that's my whole intention. So I'm doing that through what? NLP, neuroscience, behavioral psychology, and my 20 years experience of working with the best in the world. And I've got a cool thing happening in there, because I don't just want you to learn from me. I want you to learn from high-level experts. And if you just listen to the previous episode, which was, the previous episode, because the last one was a clip show, but the previous one was Scott Alford. Well, Scott Alford's just done an interview inside the Academy for you, just specifically about sales. Think about that, right? Would that be beneficial? Of course it would. And so that's what the Academy is about. Plus, if you sign up right now, you get a chance to win $4,000 training program. What else do you get? You get a video training, which is all about, and it's exclusive to this. It's not anywhere else. And what is it? Well, it's how to control your brain to have Jedi mind skills. Would that be helpful? Of course it would. And the other one there is all about brainwaves, your nervous system, and how to think like an 8-figure earner. So they're free gifts. Go and check them out, right? Links in the show notes, but it's just unfairadvantage.online. Unfairadvantage.online. So go and sign up for that. We'll bounce to the show notes, click on the link, go and get your awesome stuff. Should we go and hang out with David? Let's go and hang out with David. He's a badass, and I'm excited to go through this. As he said it, if you didn't realize how hard sales was, well, he's going to make sure that you know by the end of this clip. So let's jump in. Let's go and have some fun, and I will see you at the end of the show.
Let me get right into it. First 5 warnings. 5 things you need to know about before you get into sales. Number 1, it's harder than you think. By the way, 10 times harder than you think. Mentally, emotionally, it's going to be frustrating, agitating. You're going to go through it. You'll be tested. You don't want to call people back because people didn't call you back 4 times. You have to learn the script of words. It's so annoying at first because it's harder and you're not accustomed to it.
Okay, cool. Let me jump in there because David is flying through these 5 points. Flying through them, man. So let's jump in. Yeah, he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. And it really, sales is about, it can't be about you when you're going through this, right? It has to be about the person who's sitting in front of you. And then it has to be about the mission or the vision that you've got for that lifestyle that you're building. But when you're in sales and you're kicking ass, right, all it's about is that next deal and that next helping that next person. It can't ever be about you. Because if you start taking your mind onto what you can get, then people feel it, man. They feel it. And it means then you've all had this experience. You know what it's like going into a shop or anything, right? It's a case of, you know, when that person in front of you hasn't closed a deal in a while. You feel that desperation, right? And then they get towards the closing of the money and you feel it in them. You feel their energy change, their physiology change, even the micro muscles on their face change. And you feel them tighten up potentially, and you know that they're nervous about asking for the money. or they don't believe in the product, or we go on. So it is hard at the start, and sales script is it definitely. I've worked both ways with people, but again, I'm not here in the Unfair Advantage Academy to teach you sales. You're gonna have all your own people, your own method, your own script, right? I'm just gonna add the secret sources on top, the hypnotic language, the peak performance states, development inside your brain, things like that. And what you got to understand is that sales is your flavor. So if you're going through a script right now and you're being taught that way and you're like, oh man, this sucks. They've just forcing me to use this script, but I want to say these things. Yeah, you've got some sales teams that will force you to say every word. You've got some sales teams that use it as a generic format that you can then put your flavor onto it, right? But understand, even if you're working off a very specific script, you can still add your flavor. It's your energy, it's the tonality, it's the pace, the pitch, the timbre of your voice changes, right? You know when to pause, you know when to slow down, you know when to ask even the question that goes outside the script, but you know is going to elicit a response because it's what that client needs in that moment to light their brain up, to change their focus and emotion, to link them over to something else, right? And in that moment, well, I like breaking rules. So hey, it's different. It's different. You're not in my sales team. I'm going to teach you the secret sauce. It's different. So it is hard, but guess what is harder? Well, not doing it at all, right? Being on that downward spiral, beating yourself up, right? Understanding that ultimately it's numbers game. And you're just finding the one at that exact moment that it is the right fit for, the right timing for, and they desire it the most in that moment and have the finances to be able to pay for it, right? So to be able to do that, you have to go through a lot of people. Or you have a really brilliant lead generation strategy and they are what? Well, they are really good at qualifying people for you, and I've been on the other end of that, and it's if the leads suck, the leads suck, right? But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if your sales ability is or your skill level is so on another level, like the 1%, then guess what? It doesn't matter really who's in front of you. If they desire it to any capacity, well, you'll probably be able to sell them, right? But ultimately, to keep the momentum, to keep that drive, to keep that passion, it's like what I said back at the start of this episode. There has to be a peak performance mentality and discipline and routines and systems and brain training to be able to perform every day, no matter what is going on in your life, for you to sit in front of that or stand in front of that client or whatever it is and get them to desire it and want it and love you like they've never desired and loved someone before. And if you can do that again and again like a method actor, that's how you become the best, right? It's that simple. So to do that, we need to make sure that you're focusing on the now and then also focusing on the vision of your future and the life that you're building with these skills, with this income, by closing those people in front of you. Sound good? Awesome. Let's keep going.
Number two, it takes a lot longer to make money than you think. Some industries are different, but it takes a lot longer for you to make money than you think.
We're jumping back in again. I told you he's flying through these. He's flying through them, man. So, is he right? Yeah, he's right. I remember that. Well, again, it depends on an industry, right? The salespeople who are working for me with the Unfair Advantage, well, they're not just salespeople, right? They love what they do. They're coaches. They're high-end people, and I'm able to create income for them very, very fast because with internet marketing or digital marketing or online products and services, we can do that real fast, right? Because I can create results much faster. But back in the day when I first started sales 20 years ago, I remember it was kind of, I was taught very militantly, very boiler roomy. We were doing up to 4-hour closes sometimes. Old school, man, old school. But I've also closed $500,000 properties in 90 minutes, and I've done lots of those. And it was off the plan, and they couldn't see it. So think about that, right? All sales ability, all sales skills, right? So, but what they did say to me, and I'd never done sales before this, right? I was working in computers. I didn't have a clue about sales. Didn't even know about entrepreneurism. Didn't know about anything to do with this. It just, again, there's a whole sequence I can tell you about my story another time. But we did a group interview. Do you know, have you seen Boiler Room? You've got to have seen Boiler Room. If you're a salesperson, you haven't seen Boiler Room. Now, I'm not talking about their ethics. I'm far from talking about that. But that was actually the movie that changed my whole career. I went from an average salesperson, watched that, then went out on tour with the top performer in the company, then came back and became the top performer in the country. And it was just because I could replicate and could see, and it just created a different image in my head. But the first thing they said to me after they'd done the team interview, the group interview, and then they took us individually, they said to us, okay, you have got potential to do really well in this, but can you do without any money for the next 3 months? I was like, yeah. Don't know why I said yeah, because I couldn't, but I did it some way. And yeah, that was it. So can it take time? Yeah, it can take time. Can it be fast? Yeah, it can be fast. But either way, you're learning a craft, you're learning a new product and service. So just make sure that you're, just at the top of your game.
Point number 3, you're going to make a lot less money at first than you think. By the way, most people get into sales because somebody sold them a dream, right? Oh my God, I want to have that guy's life. I went into it because somebody sold me the dream. I want to one day have the life and the cars and travel and freedom and all this other stuff, right? And then what you don't realize is that guy paid the price for many, many years until he had the lifestyle that he has today. So for you, manage expectations, knowing at first you're going to be underpaid for a long time, and don't be disappointed. We all go through that phase.
He's definitely right. He's definitely right. It's like anything though, right? We have to become unconscious competence. We have to go through the learning stages of development to be able for sales to become automatic. So we start moving past that place of thinking about the words that we're going to say, and we move to the place of being the observer effect, and we're actually understanding where the person in front of us are in the sales process, and we're reading their physiology and their body language and their energy. And that's what makes a sophisticated sale. It's not about saying the words, man. It's not even about you being in the right state. It is all of those things. But what it's about is you being so observant of that person's physiology that you can read them better than they can know themselves. I remember doing these. I used to sell mortgages too, but it was the way we sold them. It was very interesting. It was a very high level sales process. It was a 2 or 3 step process, which was connected to investment real estate directly, and we could take them out on tours, things like that. It was a whole amazing model. And actually, I'm going to be getting one of my mentors, original sales mentors, inside the Unfair Advantage Academy. Because why wouldn't you, right? I want to learn from these people again. It's the badasses. So back to David's point is that it's not just at the start, right, that we can be underpaid. It's when we are not constantly programming, building our performance and brain and inside of sales, right? Because ultimately we go in like curves, and it's very hard to stay in that. It's like that constant flow state, right? It's like an athlete. You see it in sports, you see it in fighting, right? It's like they have a career at the very, very top. And it seems effortless. It seems like they're in the Matrix, man, or outside the Matrix, right? But you know what I mean? And everything's just like, it's just easy. But then something happens after a while, and salespeople dip. And then they're always fighting to get back to that place. And then they get back to that place for a while, and then they dip. And that's the roller coaster, right? I was talking about before. And the truth is, if we don't know how we did the best version or the best version mentally when we're at our best, then we don't know that blueprint of when to get back, of how to get back to that place, right? Or even beyond that place. So it's not even getting back, it's about beyond it. And if we don't understand the internal mechanics of the imagery, the brain chemicals, of the patterns of when we are on our best day and when we are on not our best day, then what happens is this becomes a very stressful situation and salespeople do not perform. So these are one of the sabotages that I'm going to cover and make sure that, you don't go through that, right? Because at the end of the day, salespeople and entrepreneurs make their money from their brain, from their ideas, from their thinking. And if we can't be a master of our thinking, then it doesn't matter what skill set you get. You could have the best script in the world. It doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean nothing if you aren't internally bulletproof. And I don't mean bulletproof as in, I'll just barge through everything. No, it's an art. Sales and performance is an art. It's a subtle art that most people never ever get to that top level. But you can if you understand the game.
Number 4, you're going to have a lot of sleepless nights thinking about sales. You're going to go to sleep saying, oh my God, is this person going to buy tomorrow? What if they change their minds? This person changed their minds. What do I do with this? I was expecting this $1,000 commission. What am I going to do to pay my bills here? I need to get them. You're going to go through those nights. The anxiety, mental, emotional, it's tough. You're going to go through it. And last but not least, your friends, family, spouse, everyone's going to ask you, how much money have you made? How much money have you made? How much money have you made? Why are you doing this? Why'd you start to do this? You had a good job. Why'd you choose it? Everybody's going to ask you, and this whole test of these 5 warnings I gave you, you're supposed to go through it. Here's why. Once you make it past these 5 areas and you overcome it, your skin is thicker, you can handle more, you become a leader, and somehow, some way, based on your work ethic, you improving, you getting better, attitude, all of that stuff, all of a sudden the floodgates open in sales for you, and you wake up and you say, I never thought this is what was going to happen to me. That's kind of what happened to me, but you got to go through it. So if you're still sticking around to watch the content, let me share with you what things you could do to help you win the game of sales, especially after your first year. Number 1, if you're going to do sales, go and seek out the best leader worth duplicating. The market's filled with a lot of average salespeople. The market's filled with a lot of average sales leaders. But the market's also filled with a lot of great salespeople and great sales leaders. You find the right sales leaders worth duplicating, the chances of you winning not only increases, but the speed and how quickly you win also increases. So choose an industry. Say you're going to do real estate, you're going to do digital marketing, insurance, finance, stocks, whatever it is. Fine. Choose that industry. Stay in that industry. Don't keep jumping industry to industry to industry. Rather, within that industry, seek out the best mentors to work with. So that's point number 1 in the tip you're going to get.
Love it. You make some great points there. Great points. And that's one of the big points. Lots of points here. That's one of the big points that I wanted to make sure was different, because I've created something that I just wish that I'd had myself. Do you know what I mean? And that's really what it boils down to. That's why I want to build a masterclass, like a Netflix of sales, awesome people that everyone can learn off. And that's important, right? Because perspectives is important. But putting yourself around these people and putting yourself around me and putting yourself around all of these other badasses all over the world, it does something different. It constantly reinforces it. Look at it this way, right? It's like going to the gym on your own, or it's like going to the gym with a squad of badasses. It's a big difference, right? Who do you think is going to get results quicker? That's it, right? It's not about I see this so much in sales and it drives me nuts. Right? It's all about the rah-rah, like pump up, come on, rah! And I saw this video the other day, and it's probably good for 20-year-olds and 22-year-olds when you're in that early stage of sales. I saw a video of like this. It's a high-level sales training company, and they were in a club, and they were all bottle service, and they were all rah, 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 rah. yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. But that gets boring. And that dopamine hit that they're giving people and the anchoring that they're giving people, it wouldn't motivate me. Once you've done your first like 200 sales, it doesn't really motivate you. It's like, yeah, what's that? I'm just wasting money. Who cares? It's the same bullshit conversations. And who cares about that pump up rah-rah? Give me the leads. Give me the experience. Give me the ability to close and earn loads of money so I can go on with the rest of my life. I don't need to go and party, or I don't need to boiler room or Wolf of Wall Street. Rah, 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 rah. That's so outdated. It's like from the 90s, man. And it's like people are sophisticated these days. We have sophisticated sales and we have sophisticated buyers. And if somebody came all egoed up to me and they were trying to sell me, it doesn't matter what they were trying to sell me, a pen or a plane, I'm not going to buy from them, man. Because I can see the ego in them. And this is about sophisticated sales. And that's the key point, man, right? That's the key point.
Number two is the following. Since you know, and I know that this thing's going to be hard mentally and emotionally, what worked for me is over and over and over again, I read autobiographies and content about people that persevered. Like even this month, the book of the month for my sales guys, I have 20,000 plus insurance agents. This month, the book we're reading is a book called Endurance. This is a book about you lasting. This is a book about you being able to go through tough times. You need to feed yourself so much of that because your friends, your family, your cousins, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, your wife, they're all putting so much fear. Babe, why are you doing this? Babe, why don't you go back to your job? Babe, why don't you go back doing this? You need to almost fight off all that negativity with positivity that you can make it in sales.
Right. I love this. This is the best point so far. Because again, what did he say? You have to have endurance. Yeah, exactly. You have to get over the highs and lows. You have to design your brain. You have to delete what's stopping. You have to install the ultimate you. That's it. And it's not just installing the ultimate you. It's installing that ultimate you that you've pre-designed to be able to step into that sale in a certain way, to understand money in a certain way, to have a belief and be able to bounce back in a certain way, right? You can read all the books in the world and they'll give you perspectives, but what they're not going to do is give you access to the unconscious mind. They're not. They're just not, right? That's a different talent. That's a different level of skill. That's why most people are only doing sales with willpower. They're only doing sales with the conscious bit of their brain. They are not ever going to reach that top level performance without insane discipline and willpower. And guess what? Yeah, well, Patrick's a little bit different from he's the 1%, right? Which is why he just had 20,000 salespeople working under him. Think about that. But I know I could take those 20,000 salespeople and I know I could improve their level of sales, not by even teaching them anything new about sales. They might be incredible at them and know all the tactics and strategies and subliminal influence. They might know all that subliminal influence that I teach. But I know I could develop them to be in a whole another level like I just have for people going through IPO or doing business mergers or world champion athletes and fighters and Hollywood actors. And that's the difference, right? So I want to bring all that to you as a gift, man. So I want to create longevity for you. That's the whole point, right? Otherwise, what are you doing it for?
Point number three, whatever product you're selling, do whatever you can to sell yourself on the product. Before I give you point number four, if you were in the sales office I was in Encino from 2002 till 2005, you would have found me all over the office with a role-play buddy, role-playing scripts. It didn't matter what it was. We would role-play scripts and objections. We'd sit in a room for 1 hour after 9 o'clock at night while everybody else is gone, and I would give an objection and you'd overcome it. Then I'm like, I think we can come out with a better way to overcome it. I would give it, you would give it. I would give it, you would give it. Oh, that was good. Then we write it down. It was like, let me try this one. How about this one? How about that one? That's the perfect one. How about that? How about this? How about that? We role played so much until any objection that people asked throughout the day, I could do my eyes closed. I can do it with my eyes closed today, even though it was in 2003, 2004. So find yourself a role play buddy and role play with them constantly until you can overcome all the major objections without even thinking about them.
Love it, love it. And yeah, he's right. That's definitely a beautiful way to stay sharp, right? Again, we go back to martial arts. Martial arts, you're going to see right through everything, including I've developed a belt system basically. But role playing is a beautiful way. It's just so you stay fresh, you stay sharp, right? It's like if you've never trained, you haven't sparred in a while, and then you go and spar in a ring, you're going to be a little rusty. But if you spar 3 days or 4 days that week, guess what? You're going to be a lot sharper. It's the same thing, right? You got to stay on top of it. And by doing that, it's back in the day, it was funny. I used to write, we had a very strict sales script, but that we used to be able to use, it's progressive commitment closing. So we never closed at the end, although we did close at the end. We would progressively get commitments all the way through the sales process. So by the end, before we go into the actual close, we've already isolated objections. We already know what's come up. We know where they're at. We've dip tested them all the way, right? So then we're not hardcore closing at the end. Back in the day, we still would if they needed it, but I've had my karma for those things for sure. But overcoming objections should become less and less and less if you've done the sales process correctly, right? And I'm sure you're aware of that, and I definitely know Patrick's there. But when the objection does come up and we can isolate it, then having those the rebuttal of closes or objection handling, then that becomes easy, So keeping our mind sharp, having role plays, absolutely. But being in the game and being surrounded by a sales team, being surrounded by a sophisticated sales team and mentors, and all heading towards not just teaching you sales, but teaching you to take this income and then grow it into a freedom and a lifestyle instead of blowing it on BS and cars and shiny shit. No, it's about creating freedom. Otherwise, again, what are you doing this for, man?
Point number 5, when it comes down to prospecting, too many times people, all they think about with prospect is, let me send an email on LinkedIn. Let me DM this person. Let me go out there and prospect at an event. Let me do some biz stuff. Let me do this. Let me do that, right? So everybody they look at as a customer, but I want to kind of give you a complete different perspective. There's nothing wrong with looking at everybody as a customer. But think about it this way, okay? Imagine you like this 22-year-old girl, okay, and you're 25, 26 years old, and you want to date her. And you go into a room and you spot her, okay? So she's the customer, like, I want her. She's the customer, right? Okay, no problem. Then there is a 58-year-old woman over here you have no interest in because all you're thinking about is a 22-year-old. But what you don't know is that 58-year-old woman is her mentor, her mom, her auntie that she admires the most, that if you win her, she'll put in a good word into the 22-year-old, and then she's gonna go on a date with you because she'll make the introduction. So rather than going 22, you go to the 58-year-old, you talk to her, you get her, what, can I get you something, ma'am? Is there anything I can get you? Oh, wow, you're so sweet. Yeah, you know what, I would like them, no problem, let me get you a drink. Here you go. Thank you, enjoy your evening. And then you walk away, that fellow right there got me a drink. What a nice, hey, let me introduce you to my niece, let me introduce you, and then boom. So Pat, where are you going with this? Here's where I'm going with this. I would go networking for my main referral source, influencers, okay? And I took care of them as much as I could. Whatever they wanted, I took care of them because I knew they were going to lead me to the customers that I wanted. Not just once, not just twice, not just 3 times, for years and years and years and years to come. So going back to it, as much as it's great to think about prospecting as in let me go get the client, think about prospecting as in let me find the influencers that can introduce me to customers for years and years and years to come.
Love this one. Love it. Do you know what I mean? It's a case of that's why people build their own profiles on social media. Because that creates influence, right? It creates influence, it creates notoriety, it creates people already know, like, and trust you, straight rapport, right? So if they can check you out online, then there's kind of a lot of credibility to that. And it's the same with a company. The company, say the CEO of a company, let's use Elon Musk, right? Why do you think people trust Tesla? Well, they trust Tesla because of Elon. That's it, right? Because Elon's profile is so big, they trust him and want to be around that. Why do you think people love Apple? Not an apple, but Apple. Why? Well, because of Steve Jobs. Because Steve Jobs didn't call it a brand or personal, he didn't call it that. Well, he just was him. But he knew what he was doing. So you now associate emotionally with, again, the sophistication of Apple. And it is beautiful. They're the best products. But still, right? There's other products out there, but we get a certain feeling. So what Pat's talking about is something really, really clever. He's talking about going and creating that influence through networking. And I think it's a massively underutilized skill these days, because everyone's in online masterminds, or they're in Facebook groups, or you know what I mean? And then they're DMing people and they think they're the best in the world. And, oh my God, they're just so not. When you've met really, truly world-class people and you've been around them, you realize how many people are not world-class. Let's say that, you know what I mean? But the networking means that you're not trying to get anything from people. And I think this is the biggest mistake that people are making in the sales industry, if you want to call it that. It's like they're trying to get something. How's about giving? How's about making sure that person in front of you is so in love with the concept, the idea, that of course they want to do it because they trust you. Sales is about trust. It really, really is. It's about trust. So that, yes, there's all these logical strategies through DMs and it's all great. It's all great. But say you send DMs out and they go, yeah, I'm really interested. And then they go and look at your personal profile and it's all it is they Google you and all it is this guy's a scammer. Even if it's true or not, right? Because there's a lot of shady people in the world that write a lot of lies about people. Did you hear about that, by the way? Elon Musk? Yeah, supposed to have had an affair with the co-founder of Google and had kids with them and stuff, and it was just all lies. Elon came out, you could say, I had dinner with him the other night. I've only met his wife twice and he's been there. So again, people tell lies. But my point is, it's about influence. So you being connected to the right people opens up doors that you didn't even know were doors that could be opened. It's that plain and simple, right? Why do you think people have high-level private membership clubs or golf clubs, right? They pay for this because of the level of the network they're around. And it's not just about this. One of the things I do also is I started a finance company, and we were able to do finance from $100 million up. And again, that requires a certain level of people. So one of the things that we're doing with me and my business partner is we are put ourselves around those type of people to open the doors to see what's possible. And it's all about helping. It's all about helping that business, that company, that person with a service that they then can help more people or expand their business or do whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? So don't just think about like, there's the client, ding, 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 get them. No, it's really about, can you help them so they can help you?
Point number 6 is try to redefine in your own mind. Like, when you think about what a salesperson looks like and how they work and how they talk, try to redefine that. Like, to be great in sales, you have to be a car salesman. No, it's and there's nothing wrong with that, but no, that's not the personality. When you think about a salesperson, to me, a great salesperson is one who asks the right question, is a great listener, who's coming from a place of wanting to help you as the individual that may be different than others, and is able to tailor something that matches your needs, right? So think of sales that way. Don't think of sales as somebody who, has everything is just perfect and put together and all this stuff. I got a 3-piece suit on right now because I'm shooting a video with you. But believe me, I'm a guy that just went out there and I looked at it and said, I wonder how I can help this person. This person is slightly different than the other client I sat down with. Man, if they understood this product and if they said they want this can be. So, hey, you know what? After spending a lot of time, here's what I think would be a great product for you. These are the different things we can look at, but this is what I felt was great for you. But I want to open it up. What questions do you have on these products before I make the recommendations? This one I think is good for, you're taking a very consultative approach than just a slam dunk. I got to be able to be the best salesperson and push them. And I got to make them sign the check. That's in the movies. And quite frankly, those types of salespeople maybe worked in the 60s, 70s, 80s. They don't work that well today. And even if you close, you ain't never going to get referrals. And this whole name of the game is referrals. So salespeople like that, customers become B-backs, and rarely do those customers give referrals. You want a lot of referrals. So redefine your image of what a salesperson looks like.
There you go, crew. Right? That's what I've been saying the whole episode. So when I saw these people ranting and raving in the club and all the rest of it, hey, I love to party. That's cool. But again, what are they teaching? They're teaching egotistical sales. This is about sophistication. That's the new model, is sophistication. Again, what did he say? Referrals. Well, I know some of the best salespeople in the world back in the day, and I've set departments up of 100 people I've trained, set departments up selling Australian and New Zealand real estate for law firms. I've done it all back in the day. And the truth is, what did he say? Go into help. What have I been saying? Go into help, right? Being all about the client in front of you and being, like he said, I love the way, the consultant. If you push, like aggressively, if you come in all pumped up, rah, let's go and sell. Man, what are you doing? What are you doing? That's so douchebaggy. And you definitely shouldn't be around me. You definitely shouldn't be around me. And if that's you, go away. Please go away, because you're never going to earn 7-8 figures. And if you are, it's going to be in an asshole way, and no one's going to like you, and you'll get to that place of having money and be very, very empty. This is about growth. This is about you growing into a badass ultimate version of you that has that level of class, that level of sophistication, right? Why do you think he's wearing a suit? Well, is he wearing a suit because... No, he's wearing a suit to give over that perception of that level of sophistication. By putting on that suit, what it also does for him is it changes his state, his peak state, or his specific state. It changes him into being a sophisticated salesperson, right? That's what it does. And so when you see, like he talks about in the movies, or you're picking up the phone and it's, rah, 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 let's go, like Wall Street. Man, it's so outdated. It's so outdated, yet it's being taught so much in sales. It's still, and that's what I want to get you past, because that will not create a long-lasting career. It will create a douchebag. It's like back in the day, I was a top salesperson in multiple companies, and I broke records. Like one of the records I broke in this investment real estate company. The record was 9 in a row, right? 9 sales in a row, right? These are $500,000, $1 million properties, but they came in and sold 9 in a row. I came in and closed 24 deals in a row, right? Think about that, right? Young, ambitious, hungry, closed 24 deals in a row. And these are $500,000 plus properties, right? So that changed the company. I blew them up, right? They became the top company in the country. But guess what? Everyone else around me was lying. They were lying. Oh, if the client had a kid, the person had a kid. If the client had been to this country, they'd been to that country. And I hated it and used to give them shit, and they used to laugh at me because I was this young gun, right? But I never, ever lied. I told the truth. If a client asked me the truth, he said, Andy, listen, is this really for me? I'd say it's for you if you do this. It's not for you if you don't do that. And they appreciated that because I cared, man. Because you're dealing with a lot of money in people's lives. You're not just selling them a pen. No, you're putting, it's money. When you're dealing with money, you should be kind to people. And so what he's talking about is the next level, the next generation, what's coming through now, not what was done, right? If we look at even digital marketing, what worked 5 years ago does not work today. What was working 10 years ago does not work today. You could put out any offer 10 years ago and it would sell because of the novelty, because of the new. People didn't understand the way sales process worked online, but they do now, right? So you best be good. You best be talented. You best be congruent with who you are at the highest level, and you best be congruent of helping that client. And if you come any other way, man, you're gonna be left behind. You're Stone Age.
This next one's pretty much a story of my life, and it has to do with follow-up. My confidence comes from follow-up. If you asked anybody that ever did business with me, they'll tell you Pat's biggest strength, who worked with me closely in sales, Pat's biggest strength in sales is follow-up. Here's why. Did you know 80% of customers who buy, they'll say yes, but you got to follow up 5 times before they say yes. But did you also know 44% of salespeople don't follow up after the first time they don't hear back from the client? Let me say this one more time. 80% of sales requires 5 follow-up calls before they say yes and you fill out the paperwork. 44% of the time, salespeople don't follow up after the first call. So they leave a message, man, she's not interested. How do you know? They didn't pick up or call me back. So wait, let me get this straight. To you, you define that as they're not interested? Oh yeah, of course. If they were interested, they'd call me back. Are you kidding me? Let me ask you a question. How many times, like right now, while I'm sitting here, I got 2 texts. I'm telling these guys, I got to go make these texts, right? I clicked on the text. It shows it's red. I may forget about it after this meeting because I'm in the middle of something. And if that person doesn't follow up, this text may be lost in translation. And that could end up being business for one of the people right now that just texted me, right? We make that mistake. You don't know that person forgot to call you back. That person maybe no longer checks messages or emails or texts, but you got to keep following up. Don't be discouraged when somebody says no or doesn't follow up with you or doesn't call you back. Don't take it personal. This isn't the dating game where you call them and you don't want to call too many times to seem desperate. You definitely don't want to be overly pestering your customer, but you do want to be a smooth operator and keep following up because chances are they'll eventually do business with you.
Okay, salespeople, right? Listening to this. Did you hear those stats? Did you? 80% of people, right, require 5 contact points to be able to say yes. Because during those processes, guess what they're doing? Well, they're building rapport, they're doing their due diligence. And also, like he said, they're probably busy. Especially if you are successful, you have a lot of people contacting you. How's your Facebook Messenger? How's your DMs in Instagram? It's too many, right? It's too many. So it's the follow-up that is the juice. It's the follow-up that is the juice. And what did he say? 44% of salespeople do not even follow up after the first contact, which is crazy, right? So if you know that you've got someone who's a potential, then guess what? It requires so much more, again, sophistication these days. We used to do 2-step selling processes on everything. Yes, there was. We used to move them above the buying line by getting them to pay some for a service to bring them into the second meeting, right? So we'd build the credibility and the trust and the commitment level that way. But ultimately, it's a 2-step process, right? So it's the same thing. It's the follow-up. But I bet so many of you listening to this are not doing that, right? So again, Sales has changed. It's not for everybody. It's taken me millions of dollars. It's taken me 20 years working with the best people in the world. It's taken me being top performer in 2 different countries. I've trained hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people. And I just want to create a home for you. That's all I want to do. I want to give you, well, what I never had. You know what I mean? And I love Pat. I think he's a badass, absolutely. And he's definitely on top of the game. He's got some old school tactics, but those old school tactics done right, they work. Obviously they work, right? Obviously they work. And so it doesn't matter if you're in real estate, you're a sales pro, you're a closer, you're in insurance, you're a coach, you're an entrepreneur in general. I'm here for you. I know this was kind of like, it felt probably like I was pushing the Unfair Advantage today Academy, but I was. I was. Because if you're listening to this, you're a salesperson. If you're a salesperson, I want to help you. It's that simple. I want to help you double your income. I want to help you stop the roller coaster of emotions and results. And I want to make sure that you earn millions of dollars and have a long career. So ultimately, you can create freedom. That's all I want for you is freedom. And in these crazy ass times in the world, you best get your money together, you best get your level together, and you best get your skills together, because that makes you bulletproof. And if you can do that, everything changes. Everything changes. And I'm here for you. So that's the end of the episode 376. We went on a ride together. Hope you loved it. Make sure that you're sharing it. Make sure that you are re-listening to it. And make sure that you're heading over to the show notes or typing in the unfairadvantage.online and grab your free gifts right now, which are badass. And then you'll be on the list, and I will let you know all about the Academy in a couple of weeks, and you can have a chat with us. You can come and hang out in the Facebook group. I'll put that in the show notes too. But just come and hang out with me somewhere, right? Go to andymurphy.online if you want, or go to Andy Murphy Mindset somewhere. Just here to help. Just here to help. So until the next time, much, much love. Keep kicking ass. And oh yeah, one more thing. Why don't you smile for me?
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode of the Mindset by Design podcast with your host and NLP expert, Andy Murphy. We'll catch you next time.